Welcome to the Emily Otto Show, business coaching for rebel healers, priestesses, and other witchy women. This podcast will give you the tools to help you build and scale your online healing business so you can help more people and make more money. My goal is for you to enjoy your life and business with plenty of time for pleasure and play. I am over the moon delighted you're here. Let's start today's episode.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Emily Otto Show. I am so excited because one of my friends and another amazing coach is here with me today, Laura Fowler.
Hi.
Hello, thanks for doing this with me.
Thanks for having me. This is so much fun. I love doing everything around chatting about business and money. So
I love it. And we've been talking to each other for years now. It's been years. Look at that.
10 years.
Around like the industry and money and business. And I'm getting ahead of myself. So if you wouldn't mind, Laura, introducing yourself a little bit and telling our listeners where they can find you and connect with you further.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I am Laura Fowler. I am a wealth coach and business mentor. I am all over the place. So I have a Facebook group, The Embodied Millionaire. I am on Instagram, xolaurafowler, and on TikTok newly playing with TikTok as wealth coach _Laura Fowler. So I will give you all of those links because I know that's a lot to remember, but I'm super excited to be here with you to chat about real business, real money, and how to grow whatever you're dreaming of growing.
Yeah. How to do it and how to do it your way, I think is something that we both talk about around like lifestyle and having what you want and actually making profit, not just watching the money fly out the window.
Oh my God, so important. So one of the biggest things I talk about is there's so much buzz around making more money. And yes, make more money. I don't know if we curse on here, but
we curse a lot.
Okay. So hell yes, make all of the money, but also it doesn't actually matter how much you make to a degree. Like you have to pay for your expenses. You have to have a little extra to start investing and saving and doing the things, but making more money doesn't mean anything if you don't know how to hold the money, if you're not keeping it, if you're not investing it, if you're not growing it. And if you're working away, 80 hours a week, but trying to make it look easy, is that really the lifestyle you want? So really crafting all of the pieces your way, your money your way, your business your way, your life your way, like all on purpose and by design.
I love that. And yeah, because we could all work crummy corporate jobs, 40 to 80 hours a week, hate our lives and make tons of money. And what the fuck's the point in that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I know you talk a ton about freedom of time. Like freedom is such a huge value for me. And most of my clients really lean towards this idea of like, I want to create freedom. And so that's one of the things that we start working on. And doing that is often chiseling away a lot of these old beliefs and really understanding what that means and how you get there. And a lot of the marketing buzz around investing big, hiring everything out immediately before you can afford it, buying before you can afford to show the universe like what you want, doesn't always get you there. I'm not going to say it's never worked for anyone, but it doesn't always get you there.
I would venture to guess for most of our people, it's not what's going to juice them up, right? Because I don't want a giant amount of debt hanging over my head. That's not motivating. That is like root foundation shaking for me.
Yes.
No thanks. Your people too. And you, I would guess.
my people too. And definitely me. It's interesting. I am very hardcore about feeling safe in my life. I have a lot of history of trauma and chaos. And so a lot of places where I just didn't feel safe at a soul level. And so that's one of the things I really work on. I think you do too, but it's unique with each individual, right? Like, how do you start to feel safe in your soul within your life? To trust that your business is growing, to trust that your dream is possible, to trust that your money is here to support you, to trust that you've got this. Because we all, no matter how far we go, I've yet to meet anyone that doesn't bump along the road and wonder, is this going to go away? Am I enough? And do I know enough? Do I have any idea what I'm doing? Some days I wake up and I'm like, what am I doing in my life? Do I know anything?
And I think that's so key to demystify being six-figure business owners of hey, we still have this thought process. It's just, we know what to do with it, and it's much faster, right? So I'll have that thought on a Monday morning. Who am I to teach this? How dare I do this? Is my business really successful? Is it going to make money next year? And that's at the $200,000 and above mark for the year.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And so then you have to know how your brain works. And so for each client, for each person, again, that's a little different. Like, how do you sit with those feelings? Like, how do you let them exist? Because they're really trying to keep you safe. And then how do you dive into like clearing them? Like, like, do you need to dance it out? Do you need to stand in your office and shake? Do you need to write some affirmations? Do you need to like phone a friend and be like, hey, remind me I'm a badass? Like, there's so many things we can do.
Yeah.
Call your coach. Yes.
Yeah. Or just actually do the accounting and realize like, oh, you have 5-figure months through the next year. I think you're going to be okay, which I think is something we both work on with our clients, of that foundational monthly recurring revenue being so critical for nourishing our foundations of, is my mortgage paid? Is there food in the fridge? Are my kids covered and safe? And from that point, then we can invest further in business coaching, or maybe we've invested, but those things are covered. Because I think there's two big things happening in the quote unquote coaching industry right now that are super annoying. And I would guess for both of us, the first one is this idea of like, 100K months. And the second one is over investing in your business.
Yes. Yeah, I think they're both very interesting, and they're both very catchy, and you so see sexy. It too. Yeah, they're so sexy. And 100K months, amazing, right? Like, that's great. And like, what's behind that? People aren't sharing, what they're actually profiting, what's actually cash versus sales, like, where is that coming from? Is that actually getting paid? Or was that like a sales month, but then all these people fall off the board because they couldn't actually afford it? There's so many things that go into the behind the scenes. And a lot of white lies that are used in marketing. It's like in the coaching world, we forget that marketing is marketing. Like, I know if I watch a beer commercial, that drinking beer is not going to make me lose weight and look like, like better in my bikini, or, get a guy, or whatever the thing is. I'm like, oh, that's a commercial, right? That's just wanting me to buy this beer that's, sweating in the sun and sexy. But we forget that when we look at coaching, we're just like, oh, that's a human who I trust, who must be telling me 100% totally the truth. And I should be able to have what they have in 6 months if I just buy this program.
Yes. I think it's so important. I talk about it like zooming out and seeing the full picture behind the marketing of, hold on, that woman started with a trust fund and access to a network of other millionaires that she was selling to, okay? Or that person over there, she's been working at this for 10 years and has a team of 8 people. So of course, 100K month comes a little more easily. Yeah. And not to mention the amount of privilege that all of that invokes as well, and understanding that not everybody has access to that level of privilege.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. So I like to share, I've built a lot of my wealth on 6K and less years. So it's possible. You don't have to have the 100K month. I think we almost get this in our minds that if we're not making 20K, 30K, 50K, or 100K, we're not making it. We're not actually building wealth. We're not actually going to have like a cool life. We can't have the things we want. But I like to flip that script a little bit. Like, yeah, that's your goal. Let's build towards it. Like, build that dream. But also right now, wherever you are, start building the things that you want in your life. Do you want time with your kids? Let's make your schedule, your business, your life revolve around you having time with your kids. If you want like money in the bank, you want 10K in your savings, and you want 100K in investments, like, let's start building that. Do you want the dream house? Like, let's start putting that away today. And you can do that when you're making 5K months or 10K months. You only have to be making a little bit more than you need to pay for your food, your groceries, your basic expenses, to have the extra to play with and start to build the dream.
I think you landed on the perfect point of, what is the money for? What's it for? Yes. What do you want? Because you can't really buy more time. Time is the most limited thing in this planet, in this human existence. You only have so much of it. And so that was a big thing for me of, wait, can I have tiny children and run a successful business? How do I do this in less hours? Even today, Rowan, my littlest, was up most of the night, and it's like, okay, my brain is exhausted, but how do I still run a multiple 6-figure business today? Here we go.
Yeah.
And I think that is key to keep in mind of like, okay, you want the dream house, you want to travel, you want time for long walks in the woods, uninterrupted. You just want to snuggle your dog on the couch all day. Great. Let's get you that now. And how do you work towards it now? And then let the money follow and build. Yeah, I love that you say 6K. I really think that where I felt secure was in making the amount of money that I made in my corporate job, which was around 5K a month. And I had 2 side gigs after quitting my 6-figure corporate job, 15 years in corporate HR and recruiting. I took 2 side gigs to pay for business coaching and daycare while I built my business in 3 days a week or so.
Let's land on that for a second, because I think that's so important. I have so many people who are like, I just need to like chug along and sell one more client. And then they buy this like huge coaching program, or, I can't afford it. I certainly can't go back to a 9 to 5. I had to quit. Like, I can't work another job. That's failing. But I totally disagree. I also, every time I have switched, this is my 3rd business. And every time I have built a business or switched what I'm doing, I have kept income going from somewhere. I was a single mom, so I didn't necessarily have the option. Maybe some people have to just quit your job and just, live off of, oodles of noodles, but or whatever is happening out there. But I see so many people really putting themselves into struggle and then shame because it's not working quick enough. But like, what would it feel like if you did do a side hustle, if you did something to support it and create that safety? What would that free up in your brain and your mental space and your time to really dedicate to believing in the dream?
I love that. Yeah. What would it free up? And letting the side gig or letting the job be the investment in your dream, the investment in your vision. Because too often I think we can think of the side gig or returning to corporate for a period of time as this idea that, oh, well, I failed. Yeah. And it's like, no, you kept the lights on. You did what you needed to nourish your family or yourself. And like, hey, step number 1 in the dominant culture of North America, under capitalism, systems of oppression, the patriarchy, make sure you survive. Survival is first. And I think that leads us back, of like over investing, or this idea that you have to keep investing more and more and more. Whereas both you and I are super focused on profit margins. Yes. I don't care if it's 100K month, if you're only bringing home 5 or 20K of it. Ugh, no, thank you.
Just think how much less you could be working to just have a 5K month. Bring home all of it.
Right? Like, what's the point in that? And we know people that say they're making all this money. Sure, they're making it, but they're not holding it. They're not keeping it. And I know that's a big thing you speak to in your work with clients too, is how do you hold that money instead of spend it right back out the way it came in?
Yeah. So I like for people to play with that and really think about, in the energies of money, like what feels good to you and what doesn't, like what feels aligned already, because what we want to do is align all of them. So I think of it as receiving money, like the making, the having money come to you, like out of nowhere, the gifting, whatever way it comes to you. So receiving. And then spending and saving, like, most people lean towards one or the other. So which one is your comfort? Like, let's lean towards the other one and play with that energy, because we need to balance them. Some of us are made to save. Saving is amazing. I know people now, I've seen several posts that saving is a bad word. Like saving is lack. It's not abundance, but I 1,000% disagree, because having money all starts with saving it, not hoarding it, but saving it and getting comfortable with it being in your world. And then I also have people who I work with who have the money, they make it and they hoard it and they're afraid to spend it. So really like balancing those, and then leaning into the like holding it. Like, what does it feel like to have a $10,000, like client sign, or a $5,000 or $100 client, and just having that money live in your life without a purpose for a little bit, just playing with this idea that I get to keep this. Like I tell clients, like, grow to the bank, cash that check, take, fan out some money. Maybe it's 1020s, maybe it's $100 bills, put them on your dresser, put up some candles, make a little altar to this money, and just leave it there for 10 days and walk by it every day and thank it for being there, and let it be in your life without a purpose. It doesn't need to be spent. It doesn't need to be saved. It just exists. And really play with this idea that there is so much money out there in the world that is meant for you. There is money in your life. There's money that gets to stay. It's yours, and then we play with growing it and investing and gifting and creating legacy and all of these really fun things that come beyond that. Because for me, changing the story of money in my family is about more than me. It's about changing the story for my daughter and for anyone that comes beyond her, because I grew up in a lot of scarcity and fear around money. And I didn't want to pass that on. And so changing that story is one of my top dreams in life, creating something different where she doesn't have to live in that fear and she understands and respects and loves money. And it's a safe place to live.
And your daughter is she an adult? Is she almost
Mine is an adult? Yes.
Okay. And so she has her own money that she's managing now.
She has her own money. Yes.
That's pretty
So
neat.
we talk about money management and we do all of the things, and she's actually very good with money. And it's interesting to see, because I see a lot of the way that money was dealt with in my family was very traumatic. There was a lot of trauma around money because it was safety for my mom. And there was a lot of abuse in my family too, like different types of emotional abuse, a little bit of physical abuse. But seeing that kind of echo down of my daughter's father had some issues and I moved away from that. So she still experienced it a little bit. So seeing her having some echoes, but not what I had. And then thinking but then her children maybe won't experience any of it. So this idea that we can continue to move further away from patterns that we've lived with and start to break them apart and create new ways of being that eventually, hopefully in our family line, will totally fade out and leave behind this just new way of existing that is in safety, that's not in trauma, that's healthy.
And to me, that's really the legacy and energy of more money, right? Of abundance and safety. And you're creating that ripple through your family and then through the work that you're doing with your clients. And that's a pretty badass thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's talk real quick. I wanted to share, because you just bringing that up, if people are listening and, they're building and they're creating, sit down and think about ways that you can feel wealthy in your life right now, because you can start to have that abundance as you're building the money. You can start to feel wealthy as you're creating the dream life, even if you don't have yet the 5K, the 10K months, the 100K in the bank, right? What are little ways? I like to think, I like to go for a walk at the beach. That makes me feel so wealthy. It gives me the same feeling as being on vacation at the beach, but it costs way less. I like to go sit and have a fancy coffee once in a while. That costs me $5, right? Coffee now, I guess. And, you could do the same thing, take your own coffee from home and go sit in a park or at the beach or, at a table or whatever. But that gives me a feeling of sitting, it reminds me of being in Europe, sitting in a cafe and just watching people and not having anything to do. So think of that feeling and how you can create it right now in your life today for whatever budget you have. And I think starting to lean in that idea of I don't have to have the $20,000 purse. I don't have to have the trip yet. I can plan for those things and put them on my vision board, but I still get to feel the joy, the abundance, everything Emily just said right now today in this life that I'm living, and start to soak up that feeling, because there is a piece that you feel it and it helps you become it.
100%. And so in psychology, there's a study, it's particularly related to basketball and kids practicing. And so physical practice on its own, and then mentally, drawing themselves through it of okay, I'm dribbling, I'm going up to the hoop, I'm shooting it, but doing both together is what makes the player better. And I think that's exactly the same with the money and the energy practice. It's not about, I've got to spend the 20K on the purse, or, I guess I better upgrade my house, or, better buy a new car, or, I guess I got to invest more in business coaching. No, it's about the energy and practice of it. And you get to have it now while building it, which I think is really a unique perspective and an important one when it comes to energy and manifestation. That's
Absolutely.
Really what it's about.
Yes. Yeah. The manifestation piece of it is leaning into that feeling and then taking the action to start to build that, right? So behind the scenes, you're taking the action to build the vision board but you're living a life that's still freaking amazing, that still ties into all of your values, that still lets you have time with your kids, that still lets you be creating and building in your business, that still lets you like share your magic with the world.
Yeah, because again, this ties back to what the hell is the point in all of this if we're not enjoying our lives and having fun?
Absolutely.
Point. And I think that's a big thing, that it's really easy to get lost, especially in the online coaching world of, oh, well, all these people are making lots of money and look at them hustle and I should do that too. It's like, wait, no, that's not what I want. I've had to have that come to Jesus talk with myself of like, I don't care if they're doing that. That's not my goal. That's not what I want. I'm not doing that. Have you had that experience too? Like,
I have had that experience. Yes. I've had the experience where I started to build and then I started thinking about the team I would need to have to hold that. I don't want to manage a lot of people. Like some people, that's their thing. It's not my thing. Like I have a small team. I love my people and that's that. And that's what I want in my business. And so it is this constant reminder of like, yes, you could have all of these things. And part of your brain might be like, why don't we have them? Like, I feel left out. But coming back and recentering in, but what do you want? Like, do you have the thing that you want? If not, let's build to that. But if you have it, get grateful, start to cherish it. Like, it doesn't matter what anyone else in the world is doing if you're doing exactly what you want.
I love that. Yeah, it doesn't matter. The whole goal is to do what you want as much as possible. And money does make that possible. And creating the lifestyle to channel it in, to receive more time for those snuggles with your kids. All of that is foundational.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's so much fun. So, listen again, write down some tips, but sit down and think about like, how do you want to feel in your life? What are you dreaming of creating? And what pieces do you have already put together? And what are you working on? And move in that direction, because that's the secret. People talk about selling all of these magical like programs. I think what I do as a coach is really help you just uncover what you want. I think you do the same, and then support you in remembering this is what I want, adding in little layers of strategy around like, okay, here's the way to get there the quickest. And then just the constant like mindset and the deeper inner piece of trusting and believing and healing the old stories and patterns so that you can continue moving forward in expansion. Like that to me is like, little mini quantum leap after quantum leap in coaching. And that's the magic.
I love that. Yeah, that's the magic. So how can people work with you right now and how can they connect with you further?
Yeah. I will give you all of my links. So any social media, shoot me a DM. I am totally open to chatting with anyone. I respond to all of my DM, IM, all of the things. So Facebook, Instagram are where I am the most. Like I said, currently playing with TikTok. And I have right now Millionaire Maven in the Making Mastermind. So I have a business and money mastermind where we talk about making more money, what to do with that money, how to start to fall in love with your money and be at peace with it, how to keep it when it comes in, how to think about like what you want to have in your life and your bank accounts, strategy around, all of those pieces. And also I have a couple one-on-one spots open. So mastermind one-on-one, my mastermind I created because not everyone should be paying for one-on-one, or I don't like to say afford, but is in the place yet for that investment to make sense for their business. So like we just talked about, like, always having this idea of you have to pay more for coaching. I don't think that's actually true. And for some people, it just doesn't make sense yet. So if you are someone wanting this like one-on-one coaching, I have created my mastermind for that. I think you also have a space that you've created for those exact people who have the dream, who want to build, who want all the magic. And in my mastermind, we do have one-on-one time together. We have a beautiful community. There's lots to learn and you'll absolutely love it. I guarantee everyone who's ever been in it has loved it. So awesome. Yeah, those are how you can work with me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this with me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Super fun.
That's it for today. Share this episode with other Rebelle healers so they too can make more money and deeply support their people. Join my free Facebook group at Business Coaching for Rebelle Healers with Emily Otto, and stay tuned for next week's episode. XOXO.